Witness statements. Taking a witness statement, particularly an eyewitness statement, is a very important part in establishing the facts of a accident or incident investigation. Now, the purposes of a witness statement are several. First of all, it serves to commit the witness to the witness's version of the facts. So later on, the witness doesn't perhaps have a different memory of it that might hurt your case. It refreshes the witness's memory if there's a lot of time that passes between the accident and when they perhaps have to take a deposition or go to court. A witness statement also helps expert witnesses establish the facts that they need to rely on to form an opinion. Whether that expert witness might be an accident reconstructionist, for example, or some other type of expert. Because experts are not eyewitnesses, they have to rely on basic facts of what they're testifying on, rely on others. So a witness statement is very important for that. Witness statements also are incredibly important for improving leverage in settlement. Also a witness statement can be used at trial or in the deposition to impeach the witness if the witness suddenly decides to change his or her story. Now, to take a witness statement, you need a witness. Where do you get witnesses? Well, often people at the scene of an accident or an incident will leave their name with the injured party or with someone. Perhaps even they may be listed in a police or accident report. You know, folks that leave their name with someone at the scene of the accident, they need to be interviewed immediately, because these are people that step forward and are at least at that moment saying that they're going to be helpful. Canvassing nearby businesses and homes can be helpful to see if anybody knows anything, saw anything, heard anything. And then, of course, once a lawsuit is filed, using discovery from the opposing party. And that's a typical thing to ask in interrogatories or perhaps a request for production. Give me a list of, or identify all people with knowledge of the event. The pre-statement interview. You have to interview first to find out what the person knows and what they're willing to share. So it's important to know the witness's version before you start taking their statement formally or informally. Now remember, it's a statement, it's not a deposition. So that statement that is ultimately going to be produced is going to be brief and it's going to be to the point. The process of taking that statement and getting future cooperation from the witness needs to be convenient for the witness. It needs, whatever you do, you need to enhance that future cooperation. And another thing, you don't use recording devices without the permission of the witness. And get guidance, of course, from the attorney on the use of recording devices. Remember, if you take a recorded statement, just like your written statement, they're both going to be ultimately discoverable if there's a lawsuit. So that needs to be kept in mind too. But the main point is you don't use a recording device without permission of the witness. Now, interview techniques, how do you actually find out what they know and develop that statement? We want to use narrative questions. We want the witness to tell us what they know, to just let them tell the story as they recall. We will use closed-end questions after the narrative. We will use closed-end questions to get more detail, to bring out specific things about what they are telling us. And we really want to shy away from using leading questions. Leading questions, of course, it would be a question that you're suggesting the answer as you ask the question. And that's not very helpful in an investigation unless you're going to use that leading question just to clarify perhaps what they've already said up here in the narrative and open-ended questions. So you can use a leading question here and there for that. But otherwise, leading questions are not a good investigating tool for gathering the facts. And then, of course, as you take the statement, as you're doing the interview before taking the statement, be very, very aware of the distinction between what the client knows directly, their direct knowledge, and what they have learned hearsay. Big difference, because if you do find out what someone else has told them, at least that's a lead, and you can go talk to that witness. But this particular witness is not going to be very helpful to us as far as most hearsay. There may be some exceptions, but that's another issue. Okay, so what we're really looking for is their direct knowledge, and we want to express it briefly and to the point. What do we cover in the interview? Well, we want to talk about, if it's an auto accident case, we want to talk about estimated speeds. We want to talk about the point of impact. Where was, if it's on the intersection, where in the intersection did this happen? Where did the vehicles collide? If it's a slip and fall case, or if it's some sort of other incident, perhaps in a retail store where boxes may have tumbled over and injured someone. Could be a structural failure, too many people on the balcony. We want to know details, positions of people, positions of vehicles before and after the incident. We want to know if any of the parties or persons that were involved, did they offer an explanation, particularly if it's the party that we think is caused it and they're our opposing party. We would certainly want to say, we want to know if they said something like, I'm sorry, I apologize, I was speeding, I was texting, something like that. We certainly want to inquire about that. Did they offer an explanation? Traffic lights, what color was the traffic light? When was the vehicle passing through with what color showing on the signal? What was the weather like? What was the street? What was the street conditions? Was it wet? Was it dry? Obstructions. Was there construction in the area? Was there overhanging limbs from trees or something? Other cars blocking the vision. Seatbelt usage may be important. Inquire about that. And most important of all, we want to get contact information on these witnesses that we're interviewing. We need to know how to reach them in the future and get multiple or duplicate contacts, cell phone numbers, home numbers, maybe even contact of someone who will always know where this person is. Now, the witness statement is frequently going to be a handwritten statement. Remember, we want to keep it convenient for the witness. And so if possible, we want to minimize trips back and forth and appointments, number of appointments to see the witness. If we can see the witness one time, get their statement, get the interview, get a statement from them, that's wonderful. That's what we want to try to accomplish that. And the best way to do that is usually with a handwritten statement written by the attorney or the investigator, but it's signed by the witness. Now, of course, we're going to be using what information and words, if at all possible, that the witness has relayed to us, because they're going to sign it and they have to say they're comfortable with that statement. Now, that handwritten statement is not as convenient as maybe doing that recording. If the witness has said, yes, it's okay to record, well, that might be more convenient than the handwritten statement. Follow the instructions of the attorney. But one note is that sometimes it is a little easier, a little bit more convenient to deal with a handwritten statement, getting it admitted into evidence should we need to do that at trial, than is a tape recording of the interview. You have authentication issues with a recording that you may not have with a handwritten statement. We want to keep that statement brief and to the point. And when we write that statement, from what the witness has told us, we don't want to use words like, we don't want the witness to even be thinking words like must have been, or the distance was probably, or the speed was maybe, or I think this, or I think that. We don't want that in the witness statement. We want it brief, we want it to the point. And if at all possible, get a diagram of the accident. Have the witness draw the diagram. That's very, very important. And then finally, here is a template for what a witness statement might look like. My name is blank, and my address and phone number are blank and blank. And I am or I am not related to or familiar with the parties in the accident. To the best of my knowledge and recollection, the accident was at a certain location, the date and time. At that time, I was whatever they were doing. Prior to the accident, I observed whatever they saw. And during the accident, I saw whatever it was. And then after the accident, this is what I saw, this is where the vehicles were, this is what people said to me. And so and then have them sign it, and then it's dated. And that would be a template of a eyewitness statement, and this is an overview of eyewitness statements.